This is Sherry McClurkin, your emotional wellness, mental health expert. I'm a Christian coach, speaker, and writer. I really focus on emotional truth, spiritual depth, without pretending. This is real, not perfect. I'm popping in here before this video starts because this video was created more than a year ago, and I realized since then I've changed just a few things. I also noticed in the original opening, so I have patched this into the original opening of this video, that I was in some sort of mood, and I left a few things out. So I wanted to add those things in. I really want to talk to you about renew. That's part of what this video is about. The method that God gave me. This turns out to be exactly the method He walked me through in my healing. It's the method I used for thousands of hours with clients when I was a trauma therapist, successfully used. It's a simple, proven method. So RENEW, each letter stands for a specific aspect of what you need, what we all need for emotional wellness and good mental health. We need to recognize and respect our emotions and mindsets. No judgment. There's simply a piece of information. We need to engage in calm in mind, emotions, and body because we are in a stressful world and you most likely weren't taught how to regulate yourself. So this is part of what I teach people is there is calm to be had and it doesn't take a whole lot to get there. And then the N is nurture new mindsets. There's mindsets that we carry around that we just are on automatic pilot about. But we can start capturing those and changing those and growing those into becoming the defaults. And then the second E, embrace emotional healing. A lot of mindsets, a lot of our emotional stuff is rooted into wounds. And it's time to start healing those. And that's what embrace emotional healing is about. And I bring what I learned as a trauma therapist, very simple, straightforward methods to heal those wounds. And then lastly, the W is walk in wholeness with Christ, which we all as a Christian, that is our mission. So I just want to make that quick intro and enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you. Turns out this is actually my story. So I grew up in an alcoholic family. My dad was the alcoholic. He was emotionally unavailable, just emotionally stunted. He just couldn't. I was a typical eldest, high achiever, stayed home a lot, hung around mom. I played the good girl role. Every kid has a role in family systems. Families are systems. Mine was the good girl role. And as the eldest, and I guess as the good girl, mom and dad felt they could trust me with my younger brother and sister. So I was given a lot of responsibility very earlier than I actually knew what to do with it. But I didn't have any authority, so I was still held responsible for things that my brother and sister did, even though I had zero authority to make any difference. Oh, forgot to tell you. So I'm the eldest, so obviously I'm the one on the right-hand side, orange outfit, long dangly legs. I am tall. Continuing, my mom didn't feel good about herself, so I learned to not feel good about myself. I was jealous of my sister, my younger sister, who was more slim, naturally slim, more stylish. She got more attention. And I think parents fall into the trap of believing, at least my parents did, of believing that the good girl, the high achiever, well, they must be okay, so we don't have to give them as much attention. And my sister and my brother were a little bit more of the rebels at that time. But it's not true, right? I had lots of needs that weren't met. And that's also what happens when you have an addiction in the family. Like I said, my dad was an alcoholic. Thankfully, he was able to conquer that for the most part later in life. And that was a huge blessing. But seriously, what I learned from my childhood is that I'm not pretty enough, and I'm not thin enough, and I'm not rich enough, and I'm not smart enough. I had tons of anxiety and fear and insecurity. And I'm not important enough. Doesn't really matter what I do. Doesn't really matter what happens. I was in survival mode. I was in survival mode for decades. So before Christ got a hold of me, and in the early part of when Christ got a hold of me, I was looking for love in all the wrong places. I don't think I need to expand on that. I think you know what that means. I would fall for any man who would just look at me like I was worthwhile of his time and attention, say the right things, what seemed like love to me, what I knew of love, which wasn't a whole lot. And I did fall in love, what I knew of love, uh, while I was in college in Maryland, and dropped out of college for that. But going back to, I believed it didn't matter. And I was in survival mode. So the only reason I went to college in the first place is because I didn't know what else to do. Seemed expected of me. So I went to college. I didn't know what to study. I didn't have any real interests, because thinking about future just wasn't a thing. Like, I don't know what I want, a career. I don't know what any of that is. So I did marry that man, stayed with him for almost 30 years, through all the ups and downs, huge arguments, demeaning remarks. And eventually he refused to maintain a paying job. I learned very well from childhood and through much of my marriage to wear that mask of, it's good, we're fine, everything's fine. Thank you for asking. No, I'm good. Wear that mask, not share anything, not tell anybody what was really going on. I felt shame for it. And I have some church hurt related to that. That's a later story. And I constantly felt overlooked and underappreciated, while also fearing that I couldn't live up to expectations. So if you think about that, like those are opposing things, and that's why there's anxiety and fear and insecurity in me through all of that time, because I had these opposing things. Notice me, pay attention to me. I'm starving for affection, but oh my gosh, you're noticing me and paying attention to me. I don't know what to do with that, and you're going to leave me at some point in time because I'm not important. That truly, those weren't conscious thoughts, but that was really what was going on in me. But thank you, Lord, at 38, I finally heard his calling. Christ grabbed my heart, my mind, my spirit, and my healing journey began. And it was a long, drawn out journey. So just to share, let's bring this back to the Bible. We're Christians. Adam and Eve fascinate me, because here they are. This is a presumed depiction. We don't know what the Garden of Eden actually looked like. Maybe it looked like this. Maybe this is completely wrong. Doesn't matter. What matters is they had everything. They didn't lack for anything. They had each other. They had company. They walked in the garden with God, like walked with him right there. They had everything, and still open to persuasion and tagging into that there's something more you could have. There's something about what you've got now is not enough. Makes me wonder if there isn't just a little kernel of that we all have ingrained in us as humans, that human part that is always seeking something else. And we have a hard time with gratitude and appreciating where we are. It's a struggle, just like Adam and Eve. Another place that falls in, and this is King Saul on the right, and young David, later to be king, but young David at this point, whose initial role was as the singer. There's a word for that. I don't remember what they called it, but and to help soothe King Saul, who struggled with his emotions. He also, you got to think about this, like King Saul was the first king of the Israelites, the first one. There wasn't anyone before him to learn from, to ask questions, to seek counsel. There wasn't anyone. He was the first one. And The Israelites were under constant pressure from enemies always coming at them. So David's role was to soothe the king, help the king clear his mind, whatever it was, but to soothe the king. Unfortunately, even though King Saul, this is King Saul, he had everything at his disposal. He became jealous of David. So what he had wasn't enough, or he felt he wasn't enough, whatever his not enough was. He became jealous of David because David was very gifted in music. He must have had a gorgeous voice. He wrote most of the Psalms that we have in the Bible. They are actually songs. He was gifted with instruments. And David at that time and King Saul's son, Jonathan, became really, really close friends. And King Saul became jealous of that. So what he had everything, and it wasn't enough. The jealousy creeped in. We're not alone in this. It's been there. But what we want to make sure of is that we don't stay there. So there's costs. What are the costs? There's consequences. So I was 38 when Christ grabbed me. I had a whole life before that in survival mode, believing I'm not enough. So there was a lot to unravel in me, a lot to heal. Maybe the same as with you. It's human, right? So I rarely ever felt like I belonged, and I believed I was too much. Don't be yourself. You're too much. Calm it down, tamp it down, hold it in. Well, of course, then I also never felt quite secure because I couldn't really be myself, because I had this other message that says you're too much. My boundaries, I basically minimal boundaries. You don't learn boundaries in a family that doesn't work well, particularly when there's an addiction like there was in mine. You just don't, there really aren't boundaries. You don't learn them. So I went along with things I didn't really want to be a part of to fit in. I was so desperate to fit in. I would go along with things I didn't really want to be a part of. I had friendships with people I didn't really care for because, oh my gosh, they were nice to me. Oh, you're nice to me. Give me more of that. Again, I wanted to fit in. I was desperate for the validation and approval that I couldn't give myself and that I didn't receive the way I needed in my childhood. Maybe you have that too. You stayed too long in unhealthy relationships, and personal touch, I allowed far too much personal touch than I was comfortable with. Far too much. And continuing with the costs, there's costs and consequences that Grace had his job worked out. Had a big job with me, as with all of us. My emotional regulation, what's that? I didn't know what that was. This is why I emphasize that so much. This really is key to have emotional regulation. But I was angry. There was always this undercurrent of anger in me. Angry from the injustices and all that I experienced without the love to balance these things out. I didn't experience that. I was easily provoked, could really quickly get into that anger. I also quickly believed I caused offense. Proof not required. I was so desperate to fit in, so desperate to not rock the boat, yet at the same time I was angry. I could see injustices, and I was rarely surrounded by people who could really be authentic and real with me and help me. So there's all this conflicting stuff going on. And I would burst into tears so easily. And honestly, that comes from not knowing what to do with our emotions, not knowing what we're feeling, not knowing why we're feeling what we're feeling. And so we're immediately overwhelmed. I was. And I don't know about you, but I grew up in the time when it's like, you stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about, honestly. Right? So tears weren't even okay. So here I am crying because I'm so emotionally overwhelmed, yet at the same time fearful because I'm crying. I learned to ignore my intuition, which is so common and not good. We have intuition for a reason. And I doubted and questioned all my decisions because I never felt I was insecure. But so Christ worked on me for a long time. Still does. We're never done. We're not done until we're in the throne room. Until we leave this realm here, we're not done. There's always healing. There's always journey. There's always building up our relationship with Christ. So what happened to me? He helped me build community and find my people. So I had to learn how to have friendships. I had to learn how to be real enough with people that we could really connect, truly connect on the heart level. I had to learn this. It took time. But thank you, Lord. He surrounded me. Once I found a church, he gave me a great church to start with. He surrounded me with very compassionate, Christ-loving women who took me in, basically kind of took me in, nurtured me, openly spoke of their difficulties, giving me confidence to speak of mine, gave me a more accurate description and view and reflection of myself. Slow to take that in, but when you have enough people saying it over and over and over, slowly you can take it in when you understand they're coming from a real place. I'm still refining what my community looks like and what my people look like. It's a beautiful thing. It's really a wonderful thing to finally find where you feel like you fit in and find your group, your people. Christ also did a wonderful job of helping me respect and recognize my emotions and mindsets. Helped me engage in calm in mind, body, and emotions. Helped me nurture new mindsets with the people that surrounded me with. And also, he taught me it is okay to face all of those fears, all those disappointments, all those angers. It's okay to face it, and you can release it. So I journaled, prayed, especially in my early years with Christ, building that relationship. I didn't really even realize that's what it was. It was building that relationship with Christ. I went to Bible studies. I had a passion for reading the Bible, sang my heart out with praise songs. It's one of my gifts is singing. I was with praise teams. That was so incredibly healing because I could just use this volume and all of that unmet need just kind of pouring out of me. It was amazing. And I'm so blessed to have spiritual mentors and seeking wise counsel that I was open enough to take these things in. But this took time. And they're still ongoing. Right? Because my story's not over, neither is yours. Christ also helped me to deeply embrace emotional healing, which was so amazing. Seriously, giving me the courage and confidence and self-acceptance so that I could really open my heart and soul to embrace my gifting, where I really am strong, and build the confidence for that. Completely changed my career path. My career was another thing. My original career, I was in the IT world. I didn't choose that because I wanted it. Again, I chose it because, okay, I'm kind of good in this. I guess I'll just go do it. I didn't know how to choose a career. Again, I was in survival mode. What's future? What's career? I don't know. I'll just do this, I guess. So when Christ grabbed me and was working on me and sent my husband and I to a wonderful Christian therapist, that's when I got this touch of, oh my gosh, here's people who love emotions and mindsets. Here's people who can work through them with me, help me. And I want to be part of this group. They're compassionate, they're kind, they're considerate. This is amazing. That was the first time I actually chose a career path. I made a choice, my own choice. I knew what I was doing and why I was doing it. That was the first time. I was in my late 40s. Maybe that's you too. Christ sent me back to college in my late 40s. It was fantastic. It was a wonderful time. It all worked beautifully. So many miracles, so many doors opened for me. When I was a trauma therapist for over 10 years, I worked with really deeply wounded clients. I have some amazing stories with clients. God has used everything, all parts of me, all parts of my journey, all parts of my story. He used that for me to refine me and refine me as a trauma therapist. And now, as I'm a coach, speaker, and writer, he's continuing to pull all these things together to refine and sharpen my abilities. It's always been in my heart to help others heal. When I was younger, I wanted to heal kids. I wanted to shower on kids all of the love, acceptance, compassion, empathy, having fun that I felt like I didn't receive. I don't want you all to be like that. I want you to experience love, acceptance. I want you to see that you are a beautiful creation. I didn't get that. So I poured it into other kids. It wasn't until, even in church, when I came to Christ at 38, founded a church, I got involved in children's ministry. That's all I wanted to do. It's like, I don't know how to work with adults. But when Christ grabbed me and gave me that taste of what it's like to be a therapist and working with adults, I was like, I'm all in. I am all in. Now I work with adults. Wouldn't change a thing. So getting to the end of my story here, this is all about Christ. Did you notice how everything that I pointed out that Christ walked me through in my healing journey, particularly those early years, many, many early years, where there was so much work to do in me? That's renew. I walked you through the renew steps. We're walking in wholeness now. Oh, believe me, there's still things that Christ is working on me. Deep, 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 deep digs. Deep. But he has filled me with love for his word and knowledge of his word. He's shown me my true identity. There is not a thing I would want to change about my journey. There are things I would like to not ever repeat again. But I understand the importance of going through that pain, going through those very difficult, deep valleys to get the gunk out so that I could have a closer, deeper, more impactful and meaningful relationship with the one who matters, the perfect father, the perfect parent, the perfect spouse or partner, the perfect friend, and teach me what all of that means so that I can do more here while I'm here. My journey continues. My story's not over. Your story's not over either. I hope you found something in here that you can relate to, that was helpful. Blessings to you, and thank you for your time.